folder.
Okay.
With AB,
Yes.
CD, whatever at the top.
Okay.
Was it? Oh, I got it.
And I actually went back.
Couple people had some
There, are they on there?
Yes. Oh, yeah. I figured now it's it was fine. We're trying to do it.
Larry, brother.
like Ruby gets.
Sounds like my sister. It's funny how like the same family, same upbringing, they're all different. Well,
Awesome. And the grades and everything too.
Like easier to understand.
Okay, great.
Oh, A's and B's. I never knew what they were.
Yeah.
The 3 and the 2.
Yeah.
How are you guys now? They're going to make it.
Awesome. And then we added that levels of support to piece too.
I saw that.
Yeah.
And the son.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Good.
Full of criticism.
That makes me
Full
happy.
of criticism.
Yeah, we looked, Tom and I looked at a whole bunch of them this weekend to make sure everything was good to go and stuff like that. But, you know, it's nerve-wracking. We're working on it.
Well, when we first went to this one, I really enjoyed your speech. The bad I had it. We're in our first grade that they
How are you?
How's everybody?
It was just a question of them not knowing. I mean, I don't remember.
I saw some.
It's funny because another administrator, I know, she's like, "You're going old school, bringing it back in the middle." I go, "I am. We're going old school." That's
You know,
right.
Tommy, elementary is working. It's not one comment.
Yeah, good.
I love
They
it.
did old school. Listen, it was only 17.
A lot of distance between us.
Refer to her all
It just
online
holds
and not
parents
one.
accountable.
Even though
School board section.
Being the attempts to
There you go. Not even to have a nice summer.
what's
No
going on with
comment.
their kids.
Yeah.
And they should, I mean, parents should want.
Yes. Yeah.
Right.
Step back in there. Good.
They were
Yeah, you're playing with lives. Students' lives and professional lives. So you gotta get that right. Absolutely.
Central
That's
You
great.
don't want to bounce it around.
Good. I'm happy to hear that. It makes my heart happy. Put a lot of hard work in there, so I'm happy that.
Yep.
Their new superintendent starts in January. I don't know.
Yeah. It's nice to hear like students having my grade up, parents, like they so much more missing.
They found out they knew each other.
Well, that makes me happy. Thank you for telling me. So thank you.
Huh?
I don't
Oh,
hear.
good. Okay. And then it's someplace where they read the response.
We only get that in total 3 weeks, and that's because they get stuff from the family, and they also have that experience. So we just take their
Everything that happens.
everything you want, and so they're allowed to have some. And then they get things.
I could have been.
And I look at that now, like they're old, they say you're old enough to understand that it's not registration just about what they give you, take me. It's about more about like celebrating with their family and you know, you meet that you're most wonderful and then I told my son, very good.
This is to advise the general public that in compliance with the Open Public Meeting Act, the Little Harbor Board of Education cause to be posted at the Office of the Board of Education, located at 307 Frog Pond Road, Little Lake Harbor, New Jersey, faxed on November 22nd, 2023 to the Asbury Park Press, Atlantic City Press, and to the Office of the Municipal Clerk of Little Lake Harbor. A meeting notice setting forth the time, date, and location of this meeting. Can we all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can I have a roll call?
Dr. Snyder.
Here.
Ms. Erber.
Here.
Mr. Filicello.
Here.
Ms. Martin.
Here.
Mr. Berry. Here. Ms. Zalesnow.
Here.
Ms. Semler. You have quorum.
Thank you. Can I recommend a motion to approve the agenda? Can I have a motion?
Motion.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Are there any questions? Can I say all in favor?
Aye.
Any objections? Abstentions? Okay, I say motion carries. Moving on to the board work session. We have Strategic Education Advantage LLC here to host the discussion regarding our new superintendent search. So I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you so much. Welcome everybody, good evening, and thank you for your time tonight. I'd like to thank the Little Lake Harbor Board of Education for your support and your openness and willingness to engage the entire community in the search process. My partner, Frank Moriammer, and I, Mike Kuchar, we've been in the search business for over 10 years. We do searches in New York State and New Jersey. We spent the entire day here today talking with the stakeholders designated by the school district. Tonight we have our open community forum. We'd also like to remind everyone that there is a survey on the website. The survey asking for your input into Okay, thank you. So on the website we have a survey, and we do this because the process that we utilize at Strategic Advantage is to develop a profile of the candidate for superintendent. We customize the search, so it's very individualized. It's not that we just put out an advertisement and look for candidates. We'll actively recruit to the profile that is being developed. So your input into this is very vital. The way we get input is we ask 3 basic questions. What is the strengths of the district? The second, what are the challenges that the district faces? And the third being, what are the characteristics you'd like to see in the next superintendent? Right?
Let me just give a very quick overview of the process. I hope everyone can hear me. As Mike mentioned, there's a survey in place now. We remind everyone that because you attend a meeting like this or you're one of the stakeholders meeting, that does not preclude you from taking the survey. So we urge everyone to do just that. As the survey is occurring, simultaneously 2 other things occur. And that is we have the stakeholder meeting, which we are completing today with this evening meeting. And then we'll be interviewing each of the board members individually. And again, everyone is always asked the same 3 questions. What do you see as the strengths of the district? What do you see as the areas in need of improvement? And the third one is what the characteristics you'd like to see in the new superintendent. And then taking one bigger step forward, when we get all that data together, the quantitative data from the survey, the qualitative data from the stakeholder meetings, we'll put together a draft of the profile of the candidate, what we think the candidate should look like. And of course, that's subject for review and editing by the Board of Education. And that winds up on the district website. We'll also assist the board in terms of crafting an ad, cost-effective ad that will go out and will help us, of course, to secure candidates. All right. As candidates look at that ad, they'll notice that there's a hyperlink that brings them from the ad directly to the website so that they can see the profile. So for each and every candidate, there'll never be a guess. It's like, what is this district really looking for? It'll be very, very clear to everyone exactly.
Okay. With that, we're going to start out with the first question. What is it about the Little Lake Harbor School District, the strengths? What's brought you to live here, work here, raise your children here. So anyone like to begin? Frank and I are going to be taking notes. You can either come to the podium and speak to the microphone. If you have a loud enough voice, stand up from your seat and let us know. How do you prefer? We can start out. What's the strengths of the school district? Let's not be shy.
Once that first person starts, it will all just roll around. What brought you here? Why are you happy to be here? What assets do you think the district afforded to children and students here? Things like that.
Well, what brought me here were my parents, 1967, and I started when I was just, of course, over at 539 before the additions. And I went to 6th grade, moving down from North Jersey, and it was completely different. Now, I know this is, well, you can probably look at me and see that was probably 20 years ago, maybe 50, but whatever. It's still, compared to North Jersey, we still have, I think, a pretty tight-knit community. It's a small community, and where a lot of people know each other, and it was such a change for me going to school in North Jersey, where they had 3 elementary schools with I don't know how many, K through 6. I was just lost. I came down here, there was only one 6th grade teacher, and Mr. Downs, and I completely changed from getting, failing grade, and to getting A's and B's. Or at the time, it was 1s and 2s. And I think that I would like to see that type of, and I think we have the staff here already that can do that. That can still work one-on-one with the children and continue that closeness. I don't want kids to get lost in the shuffle. So that's just what I like about the district.
Thank you very much.
Test, good. Okay. I'm Abby Martin. I'm a parent of 3 in the district. And so what brought me here? So I grew up here, born and raised, went through both schools, left here and swore I'd never come back. But I'm here, I met my husband, he's vested here in his job. So my 3 kids have gone through the district, and I think the strengths of the district are the teaching staff. I have not had one issue with any teacher in this district ever, and I have a 3rd and 5th grader and now a 7th grader. And this staff, the teachers here in this district, they're just amazing. They're an amazing group of individuals. The current administration is amazing. We support their teachers. I just think that's a huge strength here, and I think because we're small, it's a small community, the teachers are able to, give the time to each student and really focus on their class. The class sizes hopefully can remain small and stay small. So I think that's our biggest strength here in Mother Carter.
Thank you.
Other strengths.
I would say community. This community has a reputation for rallying together when there are challenges that face any family member or community member, staff member. Everyone rallies around each other and really looks out for one another. It doesn't matter what issue
move on to what are the challenges or what are the weaknesses of the district, what are the challenges, what are the issues that the next superintendent, she or he will face. We can go back to what strengths if you like as well. We'll move into what are the challenges of the district.
Challenges can be operational, they can be financial, they can be instructional, they can be facilities-wise.
Well, I'll speak. I don't need to get up to the microphone. I can talk pretty loud. Anyway, I'm Pat Chambers. I think the strengths that everybody contributed to the last question probably can lead into maybe some of the challenges that I think this district's going to face in the future. A lot of the strengths that we heard were small town feel, individuality, rallying together. I think as we see this district grow, which it has, even in the last 5 years, and certainly since Mr. Berry has been here since 1963, seven. I think that's going to be a challenge for this district to continue to try and meet those strengths. And I hope that the new superintendent will continue to work towards those strengths, given the fact that we are going to continue to grow. As we also continue to grow, we're going to see overcrowdedness. We have 2 buildings and a preschool program building as well. There's probably going to come a time when we might have to look towards expansion, whether that be additions, whether that be a new facility, because we have more and more people moving down here from the other parts of the state and also from out of state. So I see more movement occurring, especially since I started working here in 1979 over at the regional high school. We have grown tremendously. I also think another challenge is going to be communication as we grow and keeping that communication open. I think it's a strength that we have. I think it has continued to improve. I think the current board has made it a priority to make sure that things are communicated and communicated well to the community. I think as we continue to grow, I think that's going to be another challenge, that communication and those lines remain open. I think of anything else, well, certainly not, but thank you very much.
Feel free to do so.
I'm Chris Filicello. I'm a school board member, but I'm also going to speak as a parent. I was just sworn in a year ago, not even a year, and the reason I ran was for special education, and my son Mateo has Down syndrome, and when we first moved to the district in 2020, we saw some challenges, so I decided to get involved. And now I would say that one of our strengths is the direction in which our special education program is heading. However, some of the challenges, which are outside really our control at this moment, to get specific, is the amount of paraprofessional substitutes that we have, and also substitute teachers. We have a great staff, like everybody said, but sometimes, someone gets sick, life happens, and we need someone to step up for a day or a week or a month to fill in. And I know this is a struggle with all districts, but specifically in ours, just last week, one of my son's paraprofessionals was taken to go to another classroom. There was great communication by the staff, but it just was a reality that there was not enough qualified paraprofessionals to step in when the substitute was needed. So just looking at the staffing issues and making sure that we have qualified people and enough qualified people to fill in if needed. But overall, I think the district is heading in the right direction, and I hope that the next superintendent keeps that momentum going on top of all the strengths that we have. One other strength I wanted to mention regarding community, a lot of our students are student athletes, and they're involved outside of school. I'm a coach. I coach soccer, basketball, flag football, and I love seeing the kids on the field, on the soccer fields, basketball courts, football fields, and then the next day see them coming to school. So that's the kind of feel we have here. We have kids that are student athletes, and I hope that's recognized as well in our next superintendent. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chris, would it be fair to add to the paraprofessional and substitute teacher shortage? We also heard in other groups a lot about shortage of custodians and also nursing. Is that fair to add? Put that in there. Thank you. Other challenges for the district? Morph into the characteristics of the next superintendent. Feel free to go back to either one of strengths and weaknesses, but we'll move into what characteristics would you like to see in the next superintendent of schools?
And again, I'll add that that can be either personal characteristics or professional.
And we'll vote.
Absolutely.
Maybe the most reserved group I've ever had. We must be polite with subsidizers. And we do want to say the hospitality today was extraordinary. We appreciate you welcoming to the school community. What characteristics would you like to see in the next one?
Whenever we do a K-12 district, but obviously all the kids, we always start with the kids. We start with the kids at 12 now. And high school kids and 7th, 8th grade kids. And they have some keen insights, which are not really juvenile or pretty sophisticated. But they often talk about someone who is approachable, someone who is fun. But those are two very good qualities through the eyes of kids. And they usually translate into some of the same qualities that those ones. So feel free to think way outside the box on this one. What would you like this person to be like, personally and professionally?
Well, I'll go again. I'm going to filibuster, but just so that, full disclosure, people know where I stand as a board member. What I would like to see in a new superintendent, some of the things, there's a whole list of things, but the biggest things are that they can take the contract from their vest pocket and put it in their back pocket. Because their leadership skills are such a way that they don't have to, you have to have a contract, and there are times when you have to go to it, and I understand that. Teaching for 37 years, I understand that. But like I've always said, it takes any moron can make somebody follow a contract, but it takes great leadership to make people work above it. I believe that we have staff here that really would like to work above a contract, by the love for the children and all that stuff. So that's the kind of person that I'm looking for, and that's not necessarily easy to find. I realize that because that takes a special person. I'm looking for somebody. That's what makes championship teams. People don't look at what is the state average and we got to get there. They're looking at no. I want to lead the state. And getting those coaches, they're few and far between. I understand that, but that's what I'm looking for.
Other thoughts on characteristics?
So I would also say someone that values, and I guess in some ways does not forget where they come from, and realize the value of the custodians, of the paraprofessionals, of the school nurses, of the substitutes, of the teachers, of the administrative staff, the business offices, all of those. And without all of those components, the district wouldn't run. and that you have to have good working relationships with everyone in order for that all to take place. And that sometimes someone might know a little bit more about than you on a specific topic because that's their area of expertise.
I have to say, when you go onto the website, there is a form that is put up, I think, I'm assuming by your company, that you have people to answer questions on. I don't know if you have it there on the computer, but it might be a good idea, possibly maybe to put it up on your screen so the people here in the audience can see it and get a feel for some of the questions that are being asked. I did take it. I thought every one of those aspects on there were extremely important for the characteristics of the superintendent. Off the top of my head, I don't remember all the exact ones that you had on there, but this is a district that's unique in very, very many ways that I think you've heard already. And I think this person is going to have to see that. I also think it's going to have to be somebody that is very familiar with the small town atmosphere. Mr. Berry talked about humility. If you look around the room, you have the characteristics and the pillars here. I think each one of those pillars is probably most important for the superintendent as well. Okay. It's a difficult process. The board's got their work cut out for it. I think one of the things I'd like to hear as a community member right now is where this board is in the process. What are you looking at as far as time frame in this process? Where do we go from here? I mean, I know you're in your gathering stage, asking the stakeholders what they would like. But I think as one of the stakeholders, I'd like to hear where you are in the process and where do we go from here? And what are the goals? What is the end time here? Are we looking to fill this position by July 1st? Or are we looking to fill it after next year? What is the board's goal here? That was why I came to it. Like I said, I filled out the form online. I thought it was very well done, but all of those characteristics I think are important in this.
Sure, I'll address the timeline thing. It's a really good question and one that everyone should know. So we're gathering the final data. In a few weeks, we'll be meeting with the board and getting the profile approved. And from that profile, we'll advertise. It'll be about 3 to 4 weeks of receiving resumes as well as Frank and I recruiting candidates towards the profile. Every applicant, typically we get 40 to 50 applications per search. Frank and I will interview all 40, and then 4 weeks from there, Frank and I will be presenting a slate of candidates to the Board of Ed. The board will get every application that we receive. We'll get it ahead of time, and then we will collate all of the data, all of the applicants, and put them in 3 pools, one of which are these candidates meets or exceeds the criteria in the profile. The second will be, these are people that do not meet all of them, but they have these experiences and are worth looking at. And the third pile will be, they're not qualified for the position based on the criteria. From there, the board will choose a minimum of 6, ideally 8 to 10, and as many as 12 people to interview. They'll be interviewing 4 weeks from that date, because all candidates after Frank and I screen, they'll be given the dates to hold in anticipation of the interview. The board will interview 2 rounds. From there, it's the first to second, they'll go from 10 to 5, and then from 5, they'll get it down after 2 rounds of interviews to the finalists. The search is a confidential process because any candidate that has his or her name out there that's in a position becomes very vulnerable, and we'll lose really good candidates if we didn't have a confidential process. confidentiality comes off when they're down to the final two candidates. And from there, the board will then decide what other process will be done, whether it be site visits, etc. That will be determined at the candidate selection for interview. So that'll be the process with the end goal in mind, ideally to have new superintendent shared in place by July 1. Did I get everything?
Let me also speak to the survey. Generally speaking, the surveys vary a bit from district to district. None of them are well made. Nor do we say, I think what boards are free to add any question they like. And whether they choose from some samples or whether they choose their own, many people have the opinion that you do. My goodness, these are such important qualities. I'm sure everyone will select these as being most important because you're thinking most important and neutral. Not very important, not at all important. We have never seen that happen in many searches we've done. You generally wind up, out of that 14, you generally wind up with about 6 to 8 in which the majority of people rate them as either most important or important. And that's a very interesting thing. The other discussion centers around when does the person start. That depends a lot upon who that person is. If that person is a standing superintendent, their separation clause relative to the district could be a 60-day notice up to 150-day notice. And that 150-day notice is becoming more and more popular with time. So you just count off in terms of when the process is over, add 150 days to it. You might be talking about July 1st. I think most of us would appreciate and hope it could be less than that. But mathematically speaking, it could. That's kind of the best overall story. What I said to some of the groups this morning is that a K-6 search is a little different than a K-12 search. And that in the K-12 search, you generally have more sitting superintendents. The nature of compensation in the K-6 versus the K-12 is different enough that you usually get far fewer sitting superintendents on a K-12. That's another problem. Reality.
Can I ask where you advertise that?
We'll recommend about 6 sites, including Edweek. Edweek is kind of usurped the New York Times, whose fees are extraordinary, 5 figures and astronomical. So we'll give a long pick list, and generally speaking, of sites. But generally speaking, Edweek is always one of them, and the New Jersey Superintendent site is always one of them, and then there are others. So in terms of what is it going to cost, right? That's a fair question, right? In the neighborhood of, in the neighborhood of about $2,500 should cover everything. There are districts that insist on a newspaper ad. We don't encourage that or recommend it, but for districts who do, on that $2,500, you can add another $1,800.
We're doing at the moment, we're finishing a Ulster County, New York search. The board is interviewing first round candidates now. And the majority of the group of 11 that they selected were people we recruited into the search. Now, spending a day here looking at survey results, get a better understanding. So we need an individual who's going to be committed for the long haul, that specifically wants a small community, that has a background in elementary education, that has expertise and working knowledge of marginalized populations, such as children with extraordinary abilities. And so that helps us get people in mind, because being an old high school principal myself, I learned why kids don't get involved in school, because they've never been asked. My whole career, I never had one child, and I asked them to get involved, to say no. Same thing with the superintendent search. When we find people we think are a good fit, we call them up and we'll talk to them and say to him or her, have you thought about or seen the Little Egg Farmer advertisement? Have you looked at the profile? We think you're a good fit. And at times that is how we get the best candidates, by customizing. And there's a lot of really, really good things going on here. A lot of caring people. Then it's a close-knit community. You may think, what are these two guys from up north now? Ironically, my mom and dad had a house on Radio Road in Mystic Island. Frank, where's your summer?
Yeah, we have a summer place in Barnegat, Waretown, right on a quick 15, 20.
So while I agree with my contemporary from 1967, it's not the same Mystic Island or Little Egg Harbor. My parents, the growth here is astronomical. And it made my heart feel warm as I drove by Stewart's Root here. You see, that's still here. That's been the last one left in America. That's an anomaly. I want to come here just for that. Although it doesn't open until April.
Maybe not once you saw the prices, but.
Have you gone to McDonald's?
Yeah.
It's no bargain either anymore.
So you were talking about how this place isn't the same as it was. One of the characteristics I think that we need, and I saw it firsthand, I used to work for the mayor of Atlantic City about 10 years ago, and he would always say that I'm making decisions that are going to affect us 10, 20, 30 years from now. And so these students, as they grow up here and do great things in the world, the decisions that are made by the next superintendent are going to affect them for the next 10, 20, 30 years. And hopefully they'll want to come back and live here and make this community great. So whoever the next person is, they should be a strategic thinker, both in education and in the world, of what's going to be needed as these kids go on the Pinelands and in college or the trades. We need to start preparing them now and getting, the test scores, the reading scores, all that stuff up to where it needs to be so that they're prepared for the future. And the next superintendent should be thinking about those challenges and be able to see around the corner of what's next and what we can do now to start preparing for the future. And you had hit on it in your talk just a minute ago that they need to be committed to this community. I know there's sometimes superintendents take a job as a stepping stone to something bigger or better. But this is where we live, and this is where our kids go to school, and we want somebody who's 1,000%, not 100%, 1,000% committed to this community. And maybe you can ask if the drive is too far, then maybe they reconsider. I know there's been instances in other districts where someone's there for a year and then goes and gets a job closer to home, and then the search starts all over again. And I know you guys do have a guarantee that if it doesn't work out, that you'll keep working until you find someone else. But we don't want to go through all that. We want the right person at the right time that wants to be here for the long haul and is a strategic thinker that can incorporate all these great goals up here, all these pillars. So thank you.
Thank you.
I would add that as candidates are being interviewed, they're interviewing you. They're interviewing you to be sure that it's a good fit for them to pick up, perhaps move, give up a position. And so it really is a two-way street. When I was first hired as superintendent, the board president, after a very short time, said, we're going to make it very hard for you to leave. And they did. And it wasn't all compensation. It was compensation without counting the hypocrite, but it wasn't all compensation. It was challenging work that the board and I had really tight alignment with. And that we kept them in for as many years.
want to add one thing to it, and it was remiss in not mentioning it also. No one in this room, and to your point, Chris, nobody should settle. We shouldn't settle for anything but the very best. So our children, I'm not saying that flippantly, lightly, is the American dream, that our kids do better than us. And so we need to get the right person before we wait until we do. Take a page out of Jim Collins' book. Get the right people on the bus, sitting in the right seats, and until you have the right person, don't fill the seat. And that'll be our recommendation to you. And again, we respect the Board of Education. We appreciate your volunteerism, all of you that give up your time in service of our kids. We truly appreciate it. And we know it's an enormous responsibility. And we're happy to work with you, guide you, consult with you, as you as a board make the choice, because you live here and you represent the community. And we know you do the right thing based on the importance.
Other characteristics.
So just to piggyback on what everybody else has said, I think that, of course, somebody who can manage, I think experience speaks for a lot. Somebody with experience and somebody who has respect for all people, students, staff, board members, parents, somebody with integrity, honesty. Those are things that come to the forefront for me. Thank you. Thanks.
Please.
I'd like to see someone who understands that we as a school district have been through a lot of change. We've been through multiple superintendents. And someone who can build trust with parents through transparency. Start talking about policy changes. Let us know when something changes. Someone who can uphold and continue the progress that I think we've made in special ed, from a parent to special ed. And you have people keep staff. We're losing parents. We're losing professionals that I teach to be wonderful because there's a culture here that needs to change. I'd like to see someone doing that going forward and be very visible to parents. We haven't heard a lot of communication from the top down. And when things go wrong, be transparent on what you're changing. So make it go right. Also, I'd like to hear staff. Our teachers are our ground. Hear the staff. Our teachers are our boots on the ground. If they're telling you something's not working, you gotta listen and support them. And I would also like to see someone who can work with the things that we've already had. We've already bought new curriculum. We've already bought everything else. Every time there's a new change, it's get a new system, do this differently, work with what we've got, and make improvements slowly. But include the parents in. I don't know how many parents know that we bought new curriculum. And I haven't even heard about the survey until tonight. So we do need to get that out there a little bit more. Communication is going to happen because there is a lack of trust.
Thank you, and let me also say, every item you just mentioned is your current theme. When you see the profile, you are going to be a good lot of people have heard it. So thank you for this.
Yeah, it was good common sense stuff. I would just ask you though, what would have made it easier for you or more to see the survey? What would have been?
I typically get my stuff through Facebook. Facebook, because it's always on my feed.
So,
you know, or emails. I didn't get the blast emails, but I also tell you, with 2 kids with special ed, I get about 400 emails a day.
Yeah, no, I understand.
So I don't pay attention, but you can also put it through the dojos, have the teachers push it out. There's different, I mean, you're not gonna pick everybody because
Yeah, we're not trying to keep it
has-
secret,
Everybody has different technology that they use every
Right.
day. My teachers are in constant communication with me, so Dojo is a real easy way to hit us up. One of the major improvements that I did see is getting everybody on Dojo. Streamlined a lot of it because I was carrying 4 and 5 apps at one point.
Well, I appreciate that, because my technology still is a hammer, so,
I mean,
appreciate it.
I'm gonna say, I've talked to other parents where paper is the best way to go about it. For me, it's not. Paper gets lost in the thread.
Thank you.
So it should have gone out via black text message. You should have received along with an email.
I did not get any text message
You get the normal text messages.
all the time.
See me after a while, and then we'll figure out what's wrong, okay?
Sure.
I'll be happy to do that.
No problem.
Thank you.
I will, can I just say something really quick? That right now, somebody did ask for the survey again, so I'm actually reposting it right now. Okay?
Thanks, Terry.
You're welcome.
And that's the thing that I will say as a board member, and I think I said it to our staff as well. We don't know that there's a problem unless someone tells us there's a problem. So we can't address something unless we know that it's an issue. And so we've done everything to be transparent. That's why I asked for the signs on the schools to say the meeting was tonight. Just different ways to try to get it out there so that everyone is aware.
I definitely got the meeting for tonight in multiple ways. That was great.
So it should have been a link with that, I believe, was in there.
Should have been. Whatever they
But I will say
sent me.
that the report cards going home in paper.
Awesome, right? Yeah, that's what I've heard too. So what have thought that?
I'm just applause. Going back to letter grades.
Right? Thank you.
Can I ask, as part of the interview process, will the board be soliciting any of the stakeholders to maybe meet with their top 3 candidates to give, to ask some specific questions that obviously would affect those stakeholders in that, not only teachers, but administrators, parents, support staff, even taxpayers that are not working in the school system. They don't have children, maybe grandchildren, but will that be part of the process at all?
We haven't decided, or the board hasn't decided that yet. That thing, we're gonna talk about the day we have the candidates and share the slate and the resumes with the board. That's when they'll have more input to know what the next steps will be. Again, not to be repetitive of myself, but that's where they'll decide whether to do site visits or home forum. Again, that will be decided down the road. It hasn't been decided as of yet. Good question, I don't have an answer.
Any other general questions about the search?
Tell Frank and I, the teachers, we're doing appropriate lead time, I think. You gotta, doing okay.
You're not putting on a dog and pony show like Danielson would want you to.
We're patient and we love to hear from you.
Or more
We love what we do, and we know that this is a critical decision for the community. And we like being with help. We're confident we're going to be able to get great candidates into the community. You don't say it lightly. This is a very caring, close community. Like every community, it has its challenges. And I like what people are saying. We don't want someone that's just going to be in the here and now. We want a future-thinking, progressive leader that will be here for today and look towards building it tomorrow. It's pretty good stuff. No, it's not pretty good. It's great stuff. It's a privilege to be here. Thank you. We're not going to let you down. You know where we're at. You'll track us down in North Jersey.
When you say North Jersey, you're talking like north of Lacey.
North of the Driscoll Bridge.
Yeah.
Individual comments will be here, Frank and I. But we thank you all for your participation. Please, every one of you, go home, tell your friends, neighbors, family, take the survey online. I know that the board and technology will be pushing it out, and that's what we need to do. If you don't feel things are right, email the board, call the board. Your interim superintendent will be very responsive. Call Ms. Blood. People care. It's a caring community. We thank you.
And again, we'll be around for a couple of minutes if we have something.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I just want to say, maybe we can also have some computers. The next few days are parent-teacher conferences, correct? So maybe we can have some availability for surveys as parents come in and teachers can address it, because I think that's a good way to reach a lot of people too.
I just reposted it on the website. It's a pop-up on the website. So it is reposted, and I think I shall resend it out. The parents didn't get it. I did want to come to you because I want to make sure that you have the correct email address for you. Okay? So,
All right, moving on to public comment. The floor is now open to members of the public. The Board of Education recognizes the value of public comment on educational issues. The board requests that each statement made by a participant is limited to 3 minutes as cited in policy number 0167. Would anyone like to speak? I'm just doing it from here.
I would like to thank the board for having this meeting, the committee, I think, and actually the board as a whole. Thank you. Thank you to the group for you to come down and present for us. I would like to also say to the board that continue your practice of inclusivity by live streaming this meeting and all your meetings, because there's many people that couldn't make it tonight that I'm sure are watching now or going to watch in the future. So it just proves to me that you're continuing to want the public support by having a live stream, and I would really commend you for doing that, because I feel it's important. So thank you for your service. Again, thank you to the group that came down to present tonight, and hopefully we'll be getting more information.
You're welcome. Why wouldn't we live stream?
I don't know.
Thank you. Moving on to board forum. Would anyone else like to speak before I close it out? I do appreciate the live streaming also, just as a parent, because I know Chris involved with sports, all of us involved with sports. A lot of times you're watching or listening as you're on the way to something, and it just makes it more convenient to be involved and be in the know, to know what's happening. With that, yes, I do hope to get more parent involvement. I would have loved to see this room filled with parents. So that might be a challenge of the new superintendent to find ways to get participation in things that aren't the school play, or I'm sure the holiday choir or band is going to be packed in here. So those are the types of things. All these aren't always as much fun. I kind of think they're fun, but that's that. And then I just wanted to say that our next scheduled board meeting is for the 12th. Executive is at
6 p.m.
6 p.m. and public session begins at 6:30.
7.
7? 7 p.m. Okay, so I hope to see you there. Again, if you have any questions between now and then, please feel free to come then. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any abstentions? Objections? Okay. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you everyone for coming.